Asanteni sana Kimuzi and Biti and all who are in this space. And I'm happy really to be here. And I think those of you who have followed, I have been very consistent in terms of participating in many X spaces and commenting in terms of what's happening in our country, and sometimes writing about it and all that. Even today, I was able to say that Raila is no longer Baba, and really he has let down, Kenyans, young people, and it's really very regrettable because for a long time people have thought that he is a driver of reforms, of the evolution of the constitution and all that. For some of you who may know, in the second liberation, that is the fight for the Katiba, I was very much involved, especially in NCC, National Convention Executive Council, as the spokesperson of that movement. And we did a lot of work in civil society at the universities with young people, students, and young people in civil society to progress the Constitution of which became the Constitution of 2010. So when I come to these spaces, I am still, even in my relative old age, pursuing that reform agenda, that change of our country, what the Gen Zs and the millennials are doing to get our country to be a working country. So I really believe in this, and even in our work in Makueni, although Mkenya did not seem to know quite a bit of what we did, but even in our work Makueni, we really tried to get a government which promoted what people wanted done, and with public participation, with value addition, with universal healthcare and all that kind of stuff. Now, for me, this movement is actually...
Hey, Mbiti, I don't know if I'm the only one who's not hearing anything from this space. Ama ni kila mtu.
No, it's audible. It's audible. Maybe let me drop you and then I bring you back on. I believe everyone is anasikia, Prof.
Okay, personally, I can't hear. Please drop me. Then.
So let me drop you and then I bring you back. Continue, Prof.
So I was saying that the first major movement in Kenya for our freedom was the independence movement, Mau Mau. And again, even that Mau Mau was sabotaged by the political class, the people who, the Jomo Kenyatta, a lot of those political people, apart from Jaramogi, Odinga, Bildad Kagia, but it was also sabotaged because the British were able to make them the leaders, and the Mau Mau people did not feature as such. When we also did the second movement, that is the movement for multi-party and movement for the constitution, with some of the political opposition, again, the political opposition went to Moi, including Raila, in the IPPG. So again, the political opposition and the government came together, and that second movement, its power was diluted, and it was sidelined. And that is exactly what is happening in terms of the Gen Z movement, because this movement, one can say, has the power of Mau Mau in a different way. And even the demonstrations that you have been able to have cannot be likened to the demonstrations we used to have in the 90s. And your ability to use internet and all that, to use IT and all that, social media, and your way of organizing. So I believe in this movement. I am on record, and when I come to meetings and all that, like with John Allen Namu and places, because I can see that if we lose the power of this movement, it is likely that our country is going to go the ways of, Sudan, the ways of South Sudan, the ways of these countries which have failed, including even a country like South Africa, which one didn't think that it could fail, but it is failing. And you have the opposition mad in corruption and in all those things and not being able to deliver to the people. So the one thing that I want to say is your movement is very powerful, because if it wasn't, even with the losses and the death and all that and the brutality and all that, if it wasn't powerful, Ruto would not have invited Raila into the government. He would not have shared a government with anybody. So even the fact that he's been forced to share the government by people who are greedy means that he has felt the power of the movement. Of course, one thing that, and this has been said here, it is clear that whenever he was giving things which looked like concessions, they were not really concessions. Because whether it's the finance, withdrawal of the finance bill, Finance Act rather, then he signs the Appropriation Act so that the budget is being implemented as is. When he says that the cabinet, he has withdrawn people, most of them have come back, and we are not seeing quality in even the new ones, a lot of quality even in the new ones. So it is really a it's really a game. And he said, okay, you think you guys are smart, I'll show you, I really am very smart. So what I know of the political class on the whole, maybe there are some exceptions, as you have indicated, but at the end of the day, both government and opposition will go to bed together when it suits them and when there's a challenge, just like during Mau, during the NCA-NCC times, and during now the Gen Z times. And I think for Raila, maybe he has seen that he might not get the AU thing, and he has seen that he's now at the tail beat of his political career. So if he comes, he comes to bed with the president, it's okay for him. And even I'm not sure among those other politicians who are still saying that they will not get into the so-called government of national unity, the Kalonzo, Wamalwa, and so on and so forth. I would myself, I have considerable confidence in Martha Karua. Historically, at least she was of a progressive bent. But it's up to you to look at, if ever you want to do some work with some of the politicians, it's up to you to examine them so that we don't get the same thing like after the Arab Spring, when the people who replaced the departed government were still people of the old order. So that in North Africa, even after the Arab Spring, you didn't get fundamental change, which really, and I think the change you're asking for, apart from the details, it's just implement the constitution. Just make sure everybody counts. Make sure that there is, opportunity for the young people, like what Mkenya said about Kila Nyumba Kalila. That meant to every person the opportunity. And I think he when he said that we brought some milk from Mount Kenya, even if that was so, which it wasn't. I mean, we have to, you guys have to talk about the whole Kenya. You can't talk about any part not being together and so on and so forth. But I think you're asking for just decency, no corruption, implementation, and these are very, 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 very good things to ask for, because that is what we don't want our country to be a failed state like the other countries. So when you are dealing with the politicians, you will always know, the old politicians, you will always know that they can trick you. Some of them can come to you thinking that they are doing, they are well, and they mean well, and so on. So it's up to you to choose very well. But I would myself recommend that you consider, first of all, there are details of part of why the police are coming into Zimmerman, Githurai, and so on. According to them, they believe that's where most of the people come to demonstrate come from. So they come there to intimidate, so that people will start saying, we can't go back, we can't go to the demonstrations again. So this is strategy from the government side that you need to understand. That's what I myself think is the reason for the police into the night coming into people's homes and so on and so forth. I think that even if you decide that you are going to have a political party or political parties, keep the movement intact, so that there is a movement, and if you want a political expression, the political expression is different, so that the movement becomes the major thing. Like now, what you're saying is faceless, is classless, is tribeless, is all those things, because that's really the engine which will create the change that is required, and a party is something that will work later. If you wish to a party or parties, whatever you want to do, if you want to go that. So that would be one of the most important things. The movement must never be allowed to die, and it is the primary thing. And if you have a political expression, it is a subsidiary thing, because we know parties which are not driven by movements, we know that they turn out to be, people can get bought and all that kind of stuff. But you maintain your movement, even when sometimes you disagree, because people will try to make you disagree. You come back to each other, you share notes and all that kind of stuff. And I like the fact that truly the leaderless bit, which people don't understand, is the fact that just like the Black Lives Matter movement, the Occupy Wall Street movement, there are movements where there is functional leadership. If there's a task to be done, people do that. Like now, what you're doing, some people do this. If people have to go and get taken to hospital, other people do that. If there's a concert, they will do that. That's the new way, like, some of the books are saying, in terms of how organization these days is happening. It's not the old thing where there is one person who is on top and other people defer to them and all that kind of stuff. So it is a new way of organizing, and I think it is potent, and it should continue that way. If you wish, the people like us who were in the second liberation, we said that we can't come into your movement because we don't want to look like we are usurpers or we are coming to take over or stuff like that. But if ever you are ready to get some people to have an advisory role, and you vet them properly, better than how these cabinet secretaries will be vetted, I'm sure. Even when you look at some of the conversations, you can see who would not have a problem coming to advise, and you work with them. And but the most important thing is how to make a new leadership out of, because the people who are involved are in their 40s, are in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. And we know from other places, we have seen leadership of 30-something being prime minister, even the MPs who are being elected, but if you let this thing get defeated, then Kenya will be a failed state. I can say that without, any fear of contradiction. Kenya will be a failed state. And finally, if I can speak about the IDs. First of all, when you're 18 and you don't have an ID, it's a crime. So if the system does not want to give IDs, it means that it is actually getting young people to be to commit crimes, because it's a crime not to have an ID when you're 18. And this is one thing that should just be pushed, so that all places where the IDs are given, sometimes in huko villages or wherever, huko kwa chief, sijui kwa nani, mahali watu wana apply, there has to be a movement of going there consistently mpaka watu wanasema kwamba lazima wapate, because the system knows in the last elections 8 million people didn't vote who are already registered, and about 3 to 4 million had not registered and they were 18 and above, and there was also a group among those ones who didn't have IDs at 18. Now the Gen Zs who are 15, 16 and 17 as of now, those ones now will be able to vote. The Gen Zs who are 15, 16 and 17 will be able to vote in 2027. So if they don't have IDs, if they don't register as voters, then it means that a significant number of the young people will not come to vote. And this is one thing that the system is going to try as much as possible to get the young people not to vote, to get the diaspora people not to vote, and so on and so forth. So so
Professor.
as I conclude, yeah.
Oh yeah, concluding. Yeah, no problem. Kindly wind up.
Yes, sure. So as I conclude, I can just say, you guys, you have something big. It's influencing Africa, and please just, this has to be done. And any help you need from wherever you need, I'm sure you'll get it. Not help of these things, propaganda of the Ford Foundation and stuff, but intellectual help, academic help, whatever help that you require. Thank you, Kimuzi, and all of you.